If you're ambitious listening to this, you probably already know how to work hard. You know how to set goals, how to push yourself. You know how to stay disciplined when it gets difficult. That's not why you're struggling. The reason ambitious people struggle, and I mean those genuinely driven, capable, self-motivated people, is that nobody ever teaches them what to do with that ambition once they have it. Nobody teaches you how to manage goals once they keep moving, how to handle a definition of success that keeps evolving, how to want more for yourself without letting it consume everything around you, how to switch off. And I think that's one of the most overlooked conversations in the whole space of personal development and career growth, because we're obsessed with teaching people how to be more disciplined, how to be more productive. Nobody talks about what happens after. What happens when the drive that got you here starts making it impossible for you to be present, to rest, to actually enjoy the life that you are trying so hard to build. Now that I'm 30, I think I'm finally learning how to manage ambition, not just feed it. And it really is one of the most important skills that I'm having to learn how to develop. And that is what this video is about. Not how to become more ambitious, how to manage it. Because I think it comes down to three things: the goalpost move, we're driven by potential, and life comes in seasons. One of the biggest things I've realized about ambition as I've grown older, the goalposts don't stay still. At one point, success looked like getting good grades, then university, then a good grad job, becoming a chartered accountant, then progressing in my career, promotions, and now building something of my own. And if I'm honest, I am sure there will be plenty more versions of success to come. And I don't think this happens because ambitious people are never happy. I don't think we're permanently dissatisfied. I think growth reveals new possibilities. You achieve one thing and then suddenly you see something that you couldn't before. You gain experience, you learn more about yourself, so much more. You discover what energizes you and what drains you. And gradually, your definition of success becomes way more personal. Less about what you're supposed to do and more about what you want to do. For me, that's actually been really interesting looking back on it now. There are certain themes that have always been there. Teaching, trying to help people, just break down complex things simply. Just building resources, creating, just making someone else's experience a little easier because of mine. My environments have changed, jobs changed. The ways that I have managed to do those things have definitely changed. But the themes have stayed very consistent. And I would really encourage you to think about that in your own life. What keeps showing up? What do people naturally come to you for? What gives you energy? What would you keep doing even if nobody was watching? Because I think the clues are always there. And sometimes we are so busy chasing things that we don't ever stop to realize and see the patterns. And I think those patterns tell us something important, not who we're trying to become, but who we've always been. And here's why that matters for switching off. When your definition of success keeps evolving, there is no obvious finish line. Every achievement becomes the new baseline. A new milestone shows something new. Every version of success introduces another possibility, which means the challenge for ambitious people isn't reaching the finish line. We are going to reach it. It's learning how to genuinely enjoy the process and actually just somehow switch off a little bit along the way. Because if you're waiting to feel finished before you allow yourself to finally switch off, that moment is never coming. It's something that you really have to learn, and it's different for everyone. Now, the second thing I've realized about ambition, I don't think most ambitious people are competing with everyone else. At least I'm not. I've never really been motivated by trying to beat someone else. What drives me is something different, and it does not let me rest. It's the feeling that there's more potential inside me, not in an arrogant way, but it's just really that feeling that I owe it to myself to see what's possible, to be the best version of myself, To look back one day and just be so proud of what I've built, the impact I've had. And don't get me wrong, I do still feel that, but I know I have a long way to go. And I think a lot of ambitious people can relate to that. We often talk about ambition as if it's all money, status, titles. And I won't lie, those things can matter. But I think underneath all of that, ambitious people want their effort to matter. They want to contribute, to make a difference. They want to leave something better than they found it. And I think they want to fully use their strengths that they've been given. I heard someone use an analogy lately that birds fly and fish swim. Put them in each other's environments and they just couldn't survive. And the people who thrive, those are the ones who are often operating in environments that align with their natural strengths, really leaning into them. And I think there's real truth in that, because in another version of my life, I probably would have carried on climbing the corporate ladder. I did enjoy it. I was good at it. I could definitely see a version of my life where I kept going, but then there was always that other thing running at the same time. The teaching, mentoring, coaching, helping, all of those things. And I tried to get as much of that in my corporate job alone, but eventually I think the pull to just do those things outside was just way stronger. So it's not that one path was necessarily wrong, but it is because one just felt more aligned. And I think that's something worth reflecting on. Not just what you're good at, but what keeps pulling you back. What keeps showing up? Like, what contributions actually feel meaningful to you? I think ambition isn't about just moving forward in any direction. It's all about, that right one for you. Now, here's where this connects back to switching off. When your competition is yourself, the goalposts never stop moving because your own standards keep rising. There's no external finish line. There's never going to be a moment where someone literally taps you and says, come on, you're done now, just stop. It's just your own internal bar that is rising constantly. And that's why ambitious people struggle to switch off. Not because they're chasing somebody else, but because they're chasing a version of themselves that they know they are capable of becoming. And that's a much harder thing to manage, because how do you argue with wanting to be the best version of yourself and really achieving your potential? And I don't think the answer is to lower your standards. It is to recognize that rest and recovery, they are actually part of that. So the third lesson is actually probably the most practical. And honestly, I think it is one of the biggest things that I've learned now that I'm 30. Life comes in seasons. When you're younger, it's easier to think you can do everything. Build the career, the business, get fit, travel, socialize, invest in relationships, create content, do it all. And while technically you probably can do all of those things around the same time, you cannot do them all with maximum intensity at the same time. You can do almost anything. I will never ever limit anyone's beliefs. You just can't do everything at once. And I think that's where ambitious people struggle, because we're so good at accelerating, at pushing. We're great at digging deep and just finding that strength to keep going on. What we're not always good at is firstly accepting the seasons and then actually recognizing which one we're actually in. There are seasons for studying, promotions, for building, seasons for recovery, for relationships, growth, reflection, even seasons when things are just tough. The problem isn't intense seasons. Some naturally should be intense. The problem is just forgetting that they're supposed to be seasons, allowing yourself to take your foot off the accelerator, turning that whole sprint into a lifestyle, because something has to give, and eventually it does catch up with you. It might not be a dramatic, huge thing. It could just be the smaller stuff. Your sleep suffers, not always in an obvious way. Sometimes you just can't switch off at night. Maybe you're exercising or in the gym and you're just not fully there because you're focusing on other things. That decision fatigue, where you're just constantly having ideas and thinking about what to do next. And fortunately, I don't have this problem, but sometimes your creativity can shrink if you're not allowing yourself space to actually have the ideas and just let your brain flow a little. And the big one is the people closest to you get whatever is left of you after all that work has taken what it needs, which is often not very much. None of this is dramatic, it's gradual, which is why it can be so easy to miss. That's where burnout often begins. Not because somebody worked hard for a period of time, because often you're mentally prepared for that, but it's because you never gave yourself full permission to come out of that mode, not to recover, not to reflect, enjoy, and be present before then moving on to the next thing. And if I'm honest, that is something I'm still learning. Still catch myself moving the goalposts. I'm still asking, even right now, what's next before I've properly appreciated what I've built now. But I think awareness matters, because once you see patterns, you can start making different choices. And once you accept the seasons, it's actually nice to sometimes slow down just a little. So what is it that nobody teaches ambitious people? Very few people teach us how to sustain. And if you have answers to this, do share in the comments. I would love to find out more. It's really how to pursue that ambition without letting it consume everything else. And the older I get, the more I'm thinking healthy ambition is really one of the most important skills, because I don't think becoming less ambitious is the answer. I still have big goals. I still want to build things, still want to make an impact. I still want to see what's possible. But I am becoming more interested in this, not just how to be successful, but how to be that healthy, sustainable, ambitious. Because now I'm thinking, I don't necessarily think the people who go the furthest are the ones who always push the hardest. They're the people I think that have really learned to understand themselves and just how to keep going in a way that works for them. They know when to accelerate, when to pause, and how to just really keep that balance for the most part. Because don't get me wrong, I love ambition. Having that purpose and really just that driven feeling, there's nothing like it. So the challenge really is learning how to manage that ambition in a way that can last. Maybe that's what healthy ambition looks like. Now, if you give me your time, I don't take that lightly. Do subscribe so I know that this is worth building. I'm Jag Daluel. Let's keep getting into the subtext, and I will see you next week.